it up here, and we're going to talk about the future. Fast forward 2 to 3 years. Chris, I'm going to start with you at Quest Software. What's it look like 2 to 3 years from now? What's a demand signal that you all are getting? I think you touched on some of the things that you're going to be working on.
So in the years to come, I think the market has spoken, and we all know what the elephant in the room is going to be. But I think there are some things that relate back to, I think, technical debt and accomplishing that zero trust journey that we're currently on. So we got to keep our eye on that particular prize and let the nice shiny toys wait a second, for instance. So we focus things, and we believe that cyber resilience is still going to be something that's going to be critical for every agency and every DoD entity. So, but we need to move beyond just being the simple preparatory moves we do for data loss prevention. That is, having good backups and a backup strategy. I asked the question, well, what are you exactly backing up? So we work with our customers and we think about exactly how do you identify all your data within the organization? How do you tag it, for instance? And how do you know who has access to it? How do you control it, for instance? So in other words, it's not just zero trust for accessing the network, but now it's what is zero trust going to do for you for the actual data that's on the network? Because as McEwen said, I can't stop every adversary, for instance, but the one that does get through, well, what did they access and who had control of it and what was exfiltrated and what do we need to do to cauterize that particular breach? The other thing is, to finish off on that zero trust journey, is there's so many different tools that are required, for instance, that just to build that network in itself means that I have to get rid of implicit trust. Implicit trust is something that so many of us have gotten used to. Think of the person who is sudo, who has domain admin rights, for instance, and you go to that person, it's like, hey, I need your domain access back because you're only supposed to be doing provisioning for these types of objects on the network, for instance. That's a political struggle. I don't think that's going to go anytime soon. So our job really is to give the ability for our customers to do just-in-time privileging, for instance, for those end users, so they still feel they have the right access and the right capabilities to do the mission they're actually supposed to be doing. The other thing that I think we haven't really talked about is that in the future, we still are going to be faced with supply chain issues. Internally at our company, at Quest Software, we figured out exactly that. Well, you know what? Either you start nearshoring or onshoring your software development. You prepare for the fact that you have to attest what your software contains, where it was designed, was it built secure in the first place? We're well on our way to be able to do that. So we were fully prepared at the end of last quarter to start attesting where our software came from and what was actually in our code, which is very important for our mission partners. The last thing I'll say is that we can't ignore the fact that AI is coming. Everyone's talking about it. A lot of vendors say their products are AI ready or AI capable. I think the important question basically is, what are we using to train that AI? So when you look at our networks today, we have a rich set of data, whether it's logs, whether it's security event monitoring systems, for instance. We have lots of data, and never mind the actual critical data that's sitting in Office files, in SharePoint farms, for instance, that we discount. All that data can be used to train models, for instance, that General Eubanks and General Blackwell and Bob, for instance, and McEwen, you all can use this data to train specific models in your environments to understand exactly what the threats that you're going to face for today. And I think a lot of people look at the general models that are out there saying like, these things are going to solve our problems. No, not until you give it the right amount of information and the right data, for instance, on your network, closed off, for instance, where you can control it. Think of this just like an Oracle database or a SQL database. Well, would you give access to everyone outside of the government to the database? No, you wouldn't. I treat AI data the same way. So when you can treat and develop your own models and leverage all that great infrastructure data you've collected over the years to train a model, I think our nation will be a lot more secure, because that's going to help us plug holes before people get access, and maybe it'll make us a little bit smarter at the same time. And unfortunately, maybe a machine actually helps us do that. So bring on the matrix.